Washington, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services U.S.C.I.S nowadays introduced a coverage replace to undertake a risk primarily based totally technique whilst waiving interviews for conditional everlasting residents, CPR, who've filed a petition to get rid of the situations on their everlasting resident reputation. Effective immediately, new standards will manual USCIS officials on whilst to waive interviews for CPRs who filed a Form I-751, petition to remove conditions on residence. This replaces preceding business enterprise steerage that required all CPRs to go through an interview in the event that they acquired CPR reputation through consular processing. Implementing a risk primarily based totally strategic technique to the CPR interview method will boom efficiencies that enhance processing times, permit for a higher use of business enterprise staffing resources, and assist lessen the pending caseload at the same time as nonetheless preserving processes to pick out fraud and defend countrywide security, stated U.S.C.I.S Director Ur M. Jaddou. This replaces steady with business enterprise priorities to interrupt down boundaries inside the immigration system, dispose of undue burdens on the ones in search of benefits, and correctly reply to stakeholder comments and public concerns. Prior coverage requiring obligatory CPR interviews did now no longer show to be a green use of USCIS staffing resources. Under this coverage replace, USCIS can also additionally waive the interview requirement if the business enterprise officer determines there's enough proof approximately the bona fides of the marriage. The joint submitting requirement is eligible for a waiver, if applicable. There's no indication of fraud or misrepresentation in assisting documents, there aren't any complicated records or problems to resolve, and there's no crook records that could render the CPR removable. A non-citizen who obtains everlasting resident reputation primarily based totally on a wedding that started much less than years earlier than acquiring that reputation gets everlasting resident reputation on a conditional foundation for 2 years. To get rid of the situations on everlasting resident reputation, family primarily based totally CPRs normally ought to record a Form I-751 in the 90-day duration earlier than the year anniversary of after they acquired CPR reputation. Visit the policy manual for comment webpage to touch upon this replace. For more information on U.S.C.I.S and its programs, please visit USCIS.gov or follow us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook and LinkedIn.